Stolen Lives protest. Meeting outside the Senedd, Cardiff Bay, 17th of April, 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Protest bywydau wedi dwyn. Cyfarfod y tu allan i'r Senedd, Bay Caerdydd. Ail o 15 Ebrill, rhwng 1 o gloch a hanner awr wedi 2.
Welcome everybody to this next episode of Rightful Lives, and today we are supporting Stolen Lives. Over to you, Dawn Kavanagh, to introduce yourself and this video.
So hi, I'm Dawn Kavanagh and I have a son called Jack who has a learning disability, autism, epilepsy and ADHD, and I lead Stolen Lives.
And Julie Newcomb.
Hi, I'm Julie Newcomb, co-founder of Rightful Lives. Married to a Welshman, which I think is pertinent for this, but also mum to an autistic guy.
Okay, so what we're doing here today is we're just thinking about, Dawn, why are we making this video, and who are Stolen Lives?
Okay, so Stolen Lives are a group of families, well, in the main, they're a group of families from Wales, and they have loved ones with a learning disability and or autism who are detained in mainstream mental health hospitals or in specialist learning disability inpatient provision, and they'll either be out of county or out of country. And these families have got together because they are fed up really of being told by the Welsh Government that they are individual cases, they are unique cases, and therefore not kind of worthy of being bothered with. And their families who, there are some really awful cases there. You know, these are people who are very desperate. It does start and end in the community. So these are families who talk about their loved ones being sectioned because they were in inappropriate places in the first place. They were sectioned in ways where the guidelines weren't properly followed. There is an awful instance, for example, where we found out that a family had gone on holiday to see their eldest son. And whilst they were away, their son got sectioned. And the way they sectioned him was to offer him wine and holiday brochures to get him into the van, and make him believe that he was going on holiday with his mum and dad. And we know that there are abuses going on in Wales, and we're just fed up with it, basically. We're tired of it, and we called it Stolen Lives because we feel like our loved ones' lives have been stolen in so many ways. And these years we can't get back. So yeah, that's why.
Well, thank you, Dawn. It's and I think you don't get these years back, do you? And I think, in terms of what the Welsh Government are doing, what is it that you hope to achieve from this?
Well, it's funny actually, because last year was 40 years since the All Wales strategy. And that was, at the time, that was seen as a really kind of progressive thing, because it was well funded. There was a real sense of commitment and drive to get people with learning disabilities out of the long stay hospitals. And in the document, it describes them leading a normal life and into their own homes. And it was quite, at the time, it was all about delivering service change, but also there was kind of real action and a commitment to do that, and working with the different areas to do that too. But we don't see that with the Welsh Government. And even though we have policies like the Improving Lives Agenda and the Strategic Action Plan, there just aren't those kind of specific actionable goals in there. We just kind of get statements and they kind of just float there, and there's just no sense of how that's going to be achieved. There aren't any progress reports or any sense of monitoring or how they're going to work with different areas to do that. So
you don't know how many people's children have been stolen in Wales?
No, we don't know that. There's a real issue with data, a huge issue. We know, for example, there's an issue with data around how many people with learning disabilities in Wales are in mainstream mental health hospitals. There's an issue around recording that, and there's also an issue around recording how many are detained in smaller units. So we're really woolly about the data, and even where we have some data, like in the Improving Care, Improving Lives report, it's just data that's kind of like a snapshot of that moment in time. So we're really, really poor in many areas in Wales, and we
So
need
I'm
improvement
guessing as
there.
well, Dawn, you've no idea about restrictive practices. You don't know how many people are in long-term segregation. You don't know how much chemical restraint,
Data around restraint is very poor, and even in the reducing restrictive practices framework, and this is something I've brought up many times, it doesn't even mention supine restraint. It's just not there, and we know that's used and used frequently. So there's no data on the use of restraint, no national data. So it's a real concern.
And just from what you were saying as well about, you know, that poor gentleman who was coerced into the van, you know, with wine and holiday brochures, I'm guessing there's nothing about secure transport either, involuntary transport.
Not that I'm aware of. And we know too that there are people we do know that in Wales there are people who've also been put in hospitals for physical medical reasons, and there's someone who's been detained for 66 years.
It's just unspeakable. It's unspeakable. So when is this protest and where is it done?
On the 17th of April, outside the Senedd, from 1 to 2:30.
And we'll put a link perhaps, Julie, to this at the end so that people can get in touch and know where to go. Julie, I know you've got some questions for Dawn.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm thinking, just going back to what you were just saying, I mean, one thing that Rightful Lives has been really concerned about is that nobody's measuring or looking at the standard of community support and services, and presumably that is just as bad in Wales as it is in England.
Yes, it is. And particularly around that element that Alexis was talking about in terms of data. I think a real big problem is the standard of care, issues around staffing, issues around congregate settings. We've just had a case come out recently in the press around another provider. I think I can say it because it's been in the press. It was an Orbis case where somebody was being badly treated. I was raising issues about where my son was since 2020, and also raising them to the top, to the Welsh Government, and raising them to the Inspectorate and to the local authority. But it was just being ignored.
Yeah.
The other thing is, Julie, there's solutions to this, isn't there? We know from in England, there's solutions to this. You know, for instance, Hopes, which we know isn't being funded in England, you know, past December. But Wales aren't even buying into the stuff that we know that's there. And I know you've been pushing that as well, Dawn.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're happy to spend money to put people in hospital, but not to give them good lives in the community. I just wondered, have you had a lot of support for your protest, Dawn?
We have, which I think in itself speaks volumes, because I would have been willing to go out there and protest on my own if I had to, and do a Greta Thunberg and start on my own from scratch. But we've got 13 organisations supporting us. They include learning disability organisations, but they also include parents and carers groups, and they also include disability charities. And what's been interesting from the feedback that we've had is that they too kind of feel fed up. You know, they've said things like, well, we've raised this at national forums, we've made videos, we've brought it up at conferences, we've written and spoken to ministers, you know, we've done all these different things, but nothing seems to happen. We've had national campaigns. What was it we had about the Is There Winterborn in Wales campaign we had, where we had recommendations. I was part of that, but nothing seems to happen. So I think there is this genuine feeling that we've got to this point where there's nothing left now but to protest.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just awful, the fact that they haven't listened already, when they're being told about what are human rights abuses, and obviously laws being ignored as well. So I just wondered as well, what's it like as an autistic person fighting on issues that affect autistic people?
I think some of the most powerful advocates are those who've been personally affected themselves and have lived experience, like Alexis. Obviously, I don't have that lived experience. I haven't personally been detained in a hospital. I have been an outpatient, and that was that was awful. But it's nothing like it would be if I was detained, and I'm well aware of that. But I have seen and witnessed awful things happening to Jack, and seen things which I myself would really struggle with as an autistic person. And even when he was, before he went into the hospital, he was in a setting where two autistic members of staff couldn't cope with the environment. And I was saying I wouldn't have been able to cope with that environment. So I do feel that we're not always listening to what autistic people and people with disabilities have to say. In terms of organising the protest, there's a part of me that feels a bit sad sometimes that it's kind of down to us to kind of do it. I kind of feel like it's human rights breaches. There's nobody else going to come along and kind of stand up and say, well, does it have to be the people themselves and the families? Is there nobody else to actually say this is really wrong? Sometimes I feel that there's too much silence. And then in terms of my own autism personally, I think that I don't see it as some sort of superhuman ability or a tragedy. I do see it as a disability. It can be like that sometimes, but I think it gives me the passion to keep going on a subject that I really care about.
And this isn't your first experience of protesting, Dawn?
Well, I have protested on other issues like anti-austerity and things like that. But in terms of organising a protest, I did do it once when I was 7. On that toilet, there's that toilet roll that was really scratchy and itchy and horrible, probably because of my autism then, because it was just so horrible. And I got a group of us into the toilets and we barricaded ourselves in. And I think we were lobbing the toilet rolls out the window. And my mum got sent up to school. And I think the teacher said that she hoped I'd grow out of it, but clearly that hasn't.
Well, the Welsh Government had better look out, Dawn. That's what
I don't think I'm going to be lobbing toilet rolls out.
Change is coming.
I was going to say the same thing. Beware, pretty whiny dog.
Dawn Savannah. No, so again, Dawn, just one more time, if people want to join this protest, and hopefully everybody that watches this video will be offering you their support either in person or virtually on the day. Where and when and how can people get involved?
I'd say get in touch with them on our Facebook site and we're on Twitter as well. There's quite a lot going on, so just get in touch with the Welsh Learning Disability organisations as well as another way in which to do so. And I would say to people as well, don't sit back and think that there'll be another event or somebody else will do it, or if I just wait, things will change. I think people forget that they're the change, they're the agent, and things don't change if you don't do anything. Yeah, don't be silent.
Brilliant. So make your banners, make your posters, take pictures of them, post them online, tag Stolen Lives, tag the Welsh Government, throw toilet rolls at things, barricade yourself in, make sure people listen. Thank you all for listening.